Hari Om all. So today we will contemplate on Dhyana Yoga, verse 6.15. Yuñjan evam sadātmānaṁ yogi niyata-mānasaḥ śhāntiṁ nirvāṇa-paramāṁ mat-sansthām adhigachchhati. So the meaning is, thus constantly keeping the mind absorbed in me, the yogi of disciplined mind attains nirvāṇa and abides in me in supreme peace. So the word's meaning, yuñjan, keeping the mind absorbed in God, evam, thus, sadā, constantly, ātmānam, the mind, yogi, a yogi, niyata-mānasaḥ, one with a disciplined mind, śhāntiṁ, peace, nirvāṇa, liberation from the material bondage, paramām, supreme, mat-sansthām, abides in me, adhigachchati, attains. Yeah, so just to give context, in the last week, in the last verse, we talked about the importance of meditation. Maybe Vijay, you can just go back so that yeah. So in this last week, we talked about the meditation. Here I said those who seek the state of yoga should reside in seclusion, constantly engaged in meditation with a controlled mind and body, getting rid of desires and possessions for enjoyment. So we talked about this in the last week. Since I think Isha ji was not there and Shri ji has joined, maybe yeah, we can Vijay ji, maybe we can touch upon this, and then it's a continuation from this for the today's sloka. So what today's sloka I see is, what will one get, right? So we kind of touched it in the last week as well. Why meditation, right? So it is a continuation here. So here Krishna declares what one will get with the meditation. Yeah, maybe we can start with Santoshi.
Yeah, I mean, this is today's shloka, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, when I said, see, last week we went through that what is the importance of meditation. So when we look into this shloka, is also a continuation of that shloka itself. Here, Krishna also points who actually, continuously keeps his mind during the meditation on me, that is self, with the discipline. His mind, wherein his mind, or whatever we say, like the way of meditation should be in such a way that we should always be on the self. We should always concentrate on the self, that is mind, and that should be in a very disciplined manner, which leads us to attain the nirvāṇa. Nirvāṇa in the sense the eternality. And that gives an eternal peace. That gives an eternal, permanent eternal peace, is what the shloka talks about. So what I understand in shloka is, the meditation is not only part of achieving the eternal peace. It's about cleansing our impressions as well, which in turn, when we do it in a disciplined way, in this process, when the ultimate goal is to keep the mind always in the self, in the form of nididhyasa, that form of meditation, which in turn with the disciplined approach will gives us the stage of nirvana, to achieve this nirvana and permanent peace. I mean, which means that always will have that peace of mind. That's what this shloka, what I understood. From my point of view, what is take home for me is from the shloka is, it's a disciplined approach wherein every individual need to practice this to and try to be on the self, whatever maybe it could be a open eye meditation, or closed eye meditation, but staying in the self with a disciplined approach gives us that nirvana, is what I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, so the idea of the question goes back to what one wants, right? And for example, if you have decided in a journey to reach a particular destination, only if there is a discipline in like staying in the path, you will reach there on time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, lack of discipline will
It never give
lead
us
to
that.
staying in a different direction,
Yes.
and taking longer or taking more time to finally go there. And sometimes maybe you'll forget where one started the journey.
Yes, 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 yes. That's what happens, I mean, whenever we declare ourselves and proclaim ourselves that, today you need to do meditation, and, it should not be, it should be part of our habit. Like, last week, what Vijayji showed a video, like it should be our everyday's practice. When we start cultivate that as an habit, then it will be our part and parcel of our day-to-day activity, which in turn, with the disciplined way, yes, we can approach that nirvana. But again, here discipline applies more.
A disciplined mind is needed for, I'm sure, any goal.
Correct. That's what it is. And yes, it's our continued day-to-day practice, which we need to do it.
And in some ways, the weekly satsang kind of it's like a course correction. Okay, did you stay
Correct. It is actually
if you have stayed out, then like it pulls you back at least within a week.
yes.
Right?
So last week, with the shloka, what I declared myself is to do meditation at least every day, not at least for 5 minutes. But I was not able to do, at least in a week, 3-4 days, I was able to meditate at least 3 days. I mean, 3 days was gone, and 3 days somehow I managed to do that. Which again, I need to get a discipline in my life. I mean, in my way of practicing this as day-to-day activity.
Mm-hmm. I know it. It reminds me of that question that was asked to Guruji in one of the meetings. How to get that discipline or interest, and his answer was, if this is the highest priority, then like you will do it the first thing. And if you go back and see what we do as the first thing, you will figure out like what was the priority, right? So yeah, usually the first thing that one does comes from, I'm sure, deep rooted habit.
Yes.
Okay, and it requires us to train the mind, uh, like to stay in this path.
Yes.
Once you know that, like, this is how your journey has to be, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, as you told, it's a priority. I mean, it should be a priority. Only then, the focus goes there.
Yeah. Thank you, Santoshi.
Thank you, Saroj.
Yeah. Satish ji, would you like to go?
Hari Om, sir. So for me, I take it like it is this particular shloka is trying to convey us that you have to get into that mode where you are like I'm that. It is trying to re-emphasize that, and so that we are in constant present moment, and that's where it takes us to the peace and being in current present situation, right? So it's always peaceful, and for that you will have to know that you are the true self, and that is I am that.
And what will be the takeaway from this verse for the day? How do you see it? Is it
So all this requires a disciplined mind, and for that disciplined mind is what is the pathway for all this. And that's where, I mean, it is conveying us that for the necessary stature of mind to be in the true self or I am, that I will have to adopt the path of disciplined mode of life. So all that builds up and puts you into the present situation where it is always the ultimate peaceful situation, where you are neither in the past nor in the future. So that's the takeaway, right?
Okay. Okay. Ishaji?
Sorry for last week. I tried too much, but people were not leaving my house. Every time I came in to join, I couldn't. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Personally, I think we have discussed in some class. Meditation is something for me. It's like it was very tough initially for a really long time. I want to do. I will sit. It's always told, the worst friend, the biggest friend, and the worst enemy is your thoughts. So the thoughts should be void, right? It should be zero. There shouldn't be anything actually if you want to really meditate. Then personally they started saying, okay, think about certain object, keep thinking of that only. And there's also one saying that God's name is bigger than God himself, so keep taking his name when meditating. So if you see Hanuman, he meditates with the name of Ram. It will be always Ram, Ram, Ram. So as a normal human, yes, only name is not enough. So we start visualizing a form of God when we meditate. So yeah, that is how it started. But yeah, personally, I'm not able to do for a longer time. About 5-10 minutes is good. And for me, meditation is pausing whatever is going on, and whatever is going on need not necessarily mean physically movement. It actually means my thoughts. So in case whatever is going on, if I take a pause and put everything in blank and sit quiet for 5 minutes, what I'm going to do next will be much different than if I have done the work, continuously. In case I'm angry with you and I'm really yelling at you, if I can just take a pause for 5 minutes and come back, maybe, and most probably, I'm so certain that I will be not yelling at you. I can approach the same situation in a different level. And I feel meditation is just that to one's mind.
And okay, and in this, at least in this context of Gita,
Content, like
yeah.
they're just, if for this shloka, if I look at the picture, it says the day you feel that you are not there is when you are actually present. That means you are not thinking that you are, I am Isha, I'm sitting in this class, I'm talking like this. If I remove all that aspects is when I actually start living. They say no, and actually we are living our life when we take away all these attributes of ourselves, that I'm so and so, so and so, so and so. That is what I am. Anything, take it out, and then you'll actually start living in the life which you're supposed to be living.
Yeah. Yeah, if you see, the whole teaching itself is in Advaita, where we said that like the real is only that infinite, and anything I am this basically brings us back to that small entity, and like until we stop that, you can never break that form of that limitedness, right? Just I remember, as you said, like only you have to only when you stop that I am, then like the infinite.
No, Sarvananji, recently something happened. I really am not able to place what happened. But you know what? In case I'm not here, okay, my life is gone. The instant it goes, I'm no longer anybody, right? They will just call me a body, move the body, take the body. leave the body. Before we forget that I am so and so, for whom we are living. We are actually living for the society, right? We are making money for the society. We dress up for the society, everything. The same society will just call you body. Gone as soon as the soul disappears, which is actually the living part. Nobody sees that. So, you just live the body. When you live the body is what is actually present.
Okay. Yeah. So, so do you still believe in that you are living for the society now?
No, I don't believe, but that's how it is, yeah. Anything we do, is the smallest thing. See, sending my son to a school, though I don't believe in the school system. Okay. So it is like lots of things happening around, what if he wanted to go to school? What if, he wants to be something in his career? So many things, it's not, though I want to break away from society, it's not as easy as I talk. Sometimes it's worried, no, yeah, what is it, I shouldn't be doing something which is so away from the norms that's going on.
But I also see there are bold. I would put them under bold parents category. Like they take a decision. They have chosen path which is like very different, very unique from the usual path that the society takes.
Yeah,
And,
100%.
and
I myself have homeschooled my child for 4 years.
okay.
Yeah, even recently, 8th grade, I didn't send him. I said, no, you are going to come to village, you are going to sit, you are going to learn that, material and Zomato and Swiggy is not the only happiness you get. Happiness, these are all privileged kids, Sarvanaji, and it's all mistake on my part only. He doesn't know how it is to see full dark, right? Power goes, UPS gets switched on. So all these things are taken for granted. So just sit there. No, there is no power. It's complete. And in village, there is nothing, right? There's no offices and what do you call traffic, and also it's completely pitch dark. And if I see a lizard, I will not get inside that room before some great soldier of my house goes and get rid of lizard. Now I'm like coexisting with everything.
Awesome.
They are outnumbered me. So, all that I wanted him to, because it was really, he's a teenager, he's 14 now. I thought if I don't do it now, I will not get him to do anytime later. So, if you want to repeat 8, 10 times also, you repeat. If you don't want to go to studies also, you don't go do anything you want, but you're going to stay with me for 1 year. It's okay. Social science, all these things will come later. You can always get it back. So, yeah, that's about it. 1 year only I could do it because he said, I want to go to my school. I said, okay, go now. So, another week, another 3 days, he'll start his school now.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah, thanks, Ishaji. We'll come back. With, Shriji, would you like to share?
Yes, I was contemplating before this session, and based on some understanding of my experiences and by listening and reading through the scriptures of other masters and also trying to relate with my life, I think the word discipline and meditation, in my understanding, I would like to share with an example. My wife, who is also a mother of my child, when he was much younger as a baby, her total attention is with the baby, the total involvement.
Yeah.
If she's bathing, she used to tell me, go and check what she's doing. So even while she's bathing, and if she is attending to some phone, and if the baby just screams a little bit, she used to disconnect and immediately comes back to the baby. And if there is like as a husband, if I request my wife for some tea or coffee after coming from office, if she is busy with the babies and she is completely ignoring. So this is not because of some forceful discipline, but it's the complete absorption and the love of the mother towards the child, and the responsibility or the accountability that and she's also very happy to do how she's supporting the child. So this complete absorption is what I think about in this context, that when we are involved with the devotion of God, while doing any activity, by presenting whatever actions that we are doing, or in a way doing our work as worship, all actions dedicated. By practicing some of these teachings, we have to get internally involved and absorbed, not by having some forceful discipline, but by source of love, which gradually, when we practice, it becomes more and more, and we feel get attracted like a ant attracts automatically to a jaggery or a honey. And about the other small example on concentration and not getting distracted, it is like this sunlight. If it falls on a paper, we cannot burn the paper, but in our childhood, when we are doing some experiments, if we put the convex lens, then the sunlight gets concentrated. But if we shake the lens or move the lens away from paper or move it up and down, there is no effect. So this wavering and constant shaking will lose the intensity of the focus.
Wonderful.
So that is what I think, that if we are into any activity, whether it's learning some instrument or playing cricket or performing our job or planning some vacation, if we are not involved, absorbed, then the intensity, the effect of the outcome is not that much. So of course, we will get distracted from the outside world in innumerable ways. But the trick is to bring it back and keep it focused, so the rays of the sun would get concentrated, and we don't shake the lens, so it can achieve the target of burning the paper. In our case, achieving the ultimate realization by continuously focusing and becoming completely absorbed. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful, Sriji. Actually, yeah, very good examples and very nicely explained. Good.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot for sharing.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Vijayji, let me give my view, and then like we'll have more detailed explanation from Vijayji. So in a way, the way I see it is, finally, all that one does is towards securing this peace and happiness, and if the usual reason given with any work, like if you ask like what is the goal, the people may say that, no, what I want to ensure that we have enough so that in future the retirement like we are financially stable, and then like there is this insurance taken, medical insurance taken to take care of health, all these things, right? And here what Krishna says is, you know what, I will give you everything. If you have Krishna with you, there is going to be the eternal, that peace and happiness, which is finally what he calls nirvāṇa, which like will all that work towards that earning, or like targeting this retirement benefits, or planning, future planning, will they ever come anywhere closer to what one gets by loving God and like having him as the closest aid to you? A good example is again Arjuna, the way he chooses Krishna over all that, um, uh, the force for the fight, right? When Duryodhana says he will take all the army of Krishna, Arjuna selects, you know what, I would like you to be with me. That's it, right? And like, what else you need? Like when you are with the Supreme, right? There is, when I am with the Supreme, there like the smallest dot disappears and only the infinite exists, right? And that's finally what we call as attaining nirvana, right? And how does that happen? Like as Sriji nicely put, it cannot be through force, rather like love, genuine love, bhakti, right? One gets that eternal, that very the most coveted one, I would say, not easy one to get, having Krishna himself with one, right? So that's how I would like to remind me on a daily basis on whatever I do. It's not for what I get, that happens as a result of whatever work I'm doing, but it is not all my actions should not be towards that what I get, rather like towards having Krishna with me all the time, where like which also removes the fear of what one usually has about like this finite life, what happens, right? And you get this through these sessions, we get that knowledge that I'm not this limited self, and like I am not taking care of this world, rather like I'm this ego is thinking that like it's doing, it has to plan, it has to do everything, which drives one to like anxiety, fear, and do all the actions that one does, rather like get this truth that like I'm not this limited self, rather all these forms, all these whatever that I do, what I go through, it's an appearance, a scene, like how one sees in the dream, and it's not the real one. And the game is, with all this distraction, can I keep myself in tune with Krishna and like remember him all the time? That's how I see the game. And it's a very, it's in that way, it's fun to play the drama and enjoy it, and with the help of satsanga, like remember and like stay with the truth. And that's how I see. Yeah, thank you, Vijayji.
Thank you very much, Saranji, and thank you all. Wonderful contemplation. See, what is the journey here through Bhagavad Gita? Right in the very first chapter, there is a distressed mind, Arjuna Vishada. There is anxiety, there is tension, there is worry, there is all sorts of what you and I call as problems of life. That is the beginning point. And what is the immediate next chapter? Sankhya Yoga. It is, in one sense, the final picture, end of the journey. Because as soon as Sri Krishna begins, he starts by telling Arjuna, Arjuna, your worry is really a imagination of yours. You are that divine. No need to worry. So in one sense, all the problems of life are already addressed right in the very beginning by Sri Krishna. So the end game is already there. With that as the beginning point, once when Arjuna had all the worries, right in the Sankhya Yoga beginning itself, he is told the truth. Then why is this Dhyana Yoga coming as a 6th adhyaya? The truth is very simple. Truth is as simple as you are that divine. However, it is so simple, it is so obvious that it is, in one sense, at a certain feeling level, at a thinking level, the most distant. When that truth is not realized as a living, breathing truth of life, it is not something that I have to remember. That is the truth. Truth means what? That is how it is. Sahaja. It is natural. So it must be very natural. As natural as the sun shining, as natural as the water flowing. So it is as natural as that. However, you and me have something blocking that realization. What is that is blocking you and me in completely realizing? It is your and my, fundamentally, the thinking process. What kind of thinking process? Because you and I have a very strong sense of thinking and looking at life in terms of names and forms. We look at life and we tend to divvy up life into various slices. As a very simple example, what do you call as your house? Wherever you may be sitting now, you call as your house. What is your house? It is nothing but some 4 walls and some ceiling and some floor. Made where? Where is it made? In some empty space. In that empty space, there is some floor and some walls and ceiling, and that is what you and I recognize as my house. And what is neighbor's house? Again, a similar, some kind of a boundary. But what you and I miss, that it is the empty space on which you and I have created a boundary, and you and I have gotten into a thinking, a very deep-rooted thinking that this is my house, that is their house, that is somebody else's house. So in a very similar way, you and I have gotten into a deep-rooted habit of thinking about you and I as a body. I see this body, I am this body. I have lots of thoughts about the world and about me, and I become each and every part of those mental bodies. So this so-called gross body and these mental bodies or subtle bodies. So you and I have gotten into a deep-rooted habit pattern of recognizing you and me as these bodies. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm an Indian, I'm a Pakistani, whatever. I'm intelligent, I'm dumb. So many various ways by which you and I tag ourselves. This is the fundamental block you and I are having to what Sri Krishna is pointing at in the very beginning. If his pointing is clearly seen, job is done. That's the end of the journey. But depending upon the deep-rooted vasanas, impressions, this pointing is not captured. So therefore, there is a movement to realize this truth. And the one who is moving is a person who generally we tag as a spiritual seeker, a yogi. Yogi means what? Someone who is in the path of the yoga. Yoga means what? Fundamentally, yoga means union. So there is some separation. There's a sense of separation. What is the sense of separation? I feel that I am this house. I feel I am this body and mind. That is the sense of the separation. And this house is separate from that house. This body is separate from that body. My thinking is separate from your thinking. So in the thinking, I have constructed a body. So that body is separate from other bodies. So therefore, there is a sense of separation. That sense of separation, viyoga, this, until it is removed, until that completeness is felt, deeply within, this seeking continues. Much like when I'm hungry, until I have food, the hunger continues to propel me to seek food. So in the same way, when there is a viyoga means what? A deep sense of separation. There's a feeling that I am separate from the rest. In reality, that is not the case. But I have a deep-rooted thinking that I am separate from the rest. So that sense of separation propels me to seek the union. And thus, I become a seeker or a yogi. And third chapter onwards, in fact, much of the second chapter onwards, Sri Krishna is addressing, because in the very first, in the beginnings of the second chapter itself, he clearly establishes what is truth and who is realized one. Rest everything is for you and me to constantly examine ourselves against whatever the fundamental truth that he has already established. Much like litmus test. How do you know something is an acid or a base? You and I have learned there is something called as a litmus test. Depending upon the color of that litmus paper, you can decide whether it is an acid or a base or neutral. Like that, you and I are constantly given various tools, techniques, and tests so that you and I can constantly see where you and I stand. In that spirit, Dhyana Yoga, when it is seen from the standpoint of a yogi, it is seen as something that I must do. I have to do. Just like how I say, I have to work somewhere to earn a living. I have to eat to quench my hunger. All these are various activities, various things I have to do. In a similar way, we think about meditation as something that you and I have to do. So it becomes a technique. It becomes a tool. In reality, meditation is not really a technique. Meditation is simply when you are in your true nature, you are in true meditation. As simple as that. Your very nature is a meditative nature. What does it mean? What is that you and I are seeking through meditation? What is meditation? The general concept that you and I hold with regards to meditation is, when I meditate, I become peaceful. So I see meditation as a process by which I reach something called as a peace. Is that the reality? The reality is, you are the very source of peace. You are the embodiment of peace. And what is meditation then? Meditation is essentially when you disengage from the process of thinking, you realize that you are the very source of meditation. So once when you realize that you are the very source of meditation, holding on to that very source, there is nothing that you have to do. However, the tendency of the mind, the nature of the mind can again pull you away. So again and again, the mind has to be trained. Much like how you and I learned anything in life through repetition. So looking at it from that standpoint, meditation cannot be done in reality. However, as a technique, what is that you and I are talking about? You and I are talking about keeping our so-called mind away for some time. Please see, what is that you and I are talking about as meditation? There is something that you and I are constantly engaged with. And that is something called as our mind. What is mind? Mind is nothing but where you and I have lots of concepts about this world. Because where is this world really? When you say, I have to be disengaged from the world, or I am interacting with the world, where is this world really? Where is your world really? If you really notice this question deeply, your world is nothing but whatever information that you've gathered through your five senses and you've captured in your mind. That's all you and I keep calling as world, is it not? As a simple example, if something is already in your mind, then only you connect to it. If it is not in your world. If I ask you, have you ever been to Katapichatu? You may draw a blank, or you may imagine some imaginary place or some imaginary thing. But if I tell you that this Katapichatu is something that I made up, then that is the meaning that assign in your mind. But till then, Katapichatu would have triggered some kind of I don't know, or it's an imaginary place, something like that. So essentially, only whatever information that you've stored in your mind is what you and I refer as your world or my world. If that information is there, then only you say it is in the world. Otherwise, it is not in the world. That is how you and I interact, is it not? For example, if I ask you today, hey, how is your life? How will you tell? What will you tell? If let's say you've just now had a fight with your husband or wife, or your boss has yelled at you, or you have had a loss, you may tend to look at it as, "Ayyo, the world is such a miserable place, nasty place. It's not at all a nice place." Or if let's say you've just now come out of a nice coffee in a good restaurant, and if I ask you, how is life? You may say, nice. So there's a little story. A small child came running from school and it had something written in the book. The teacher had given a math sum, said, please get it answered. You can take the help of your mother or father. So the child came running from the school. That's the first time that the child had been given that particular math sum. So it came to the mother. Mother looked at it and mother said, hey, I'm very busy now. And this also looks like a very difficult problem. We used to solve these kinds of problems when we were in college. What is happening to children these days? Why are they taxing you so much? I don't know. I am very busy. Why don't you go and ask your father? He's sitting there simply, lazily, watching TV. Go, ask him. So now the child ran to the father. And the father turned off the TV and they looked at the sum and said, oh, this one is very easy. Come here. I will tell you. Now do this first step. Okay. Now, okay, look at that. Now you take the second step. Okay, now third step. Okay, now what is that you remain? This is the answer. Easy, no? So this is what the father said. Now, the question for you and me in this small illustration is, see, when the child came running from the school, there was something written in the book. What was written in the book? It was some kind of a mathematical sum that the teacher had given. Now that whatever that was written, was it easy or was it difficult? Was it easy or was it difficult? From the child's viewpoint, it is neither. Why? Because it is something that the teacher has given. I simply have to go and ask my parents and get it solved. That's all. It is neither easy nor difficult. Now it went to the mother. And mother, due to whatever reason, said it's a very difficult problem. Now, what may be happening in the child's mind? Because the mother said it is a difficult problem. Now the child may also start thinking, oh, it's a difficult problem. But the question is, was whatever that was written in the book, did it change? It did not change. It is still the same mathematical sum that the teacher had given. Nothing changed. It didn't become easy or difficult. But in the mind of the mother, at this point of time, it is a very difficult sum. So it's very much possible now the child also may be thinking, oh, it's a very difficult problem. Now it went to the father. Did anything written on the book change? No. But the father, because he knew it was very easy for him, now there is a good possibility that the child may also think it's a very easy problem. Just like this, in the so-called world of information that you receive from your senses, there is nothing called easy or difficult. It is simply an input signal through your five senses. Whatever you are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, it's simply those sensations are flowing. Nothing in the world is easy or difficult. However, in your mind and my mind, I may start seeing it as, my God, it is such a difficult thing. Or, oh, it's a very easy thing. When will you say something is easy? When you know something about it. When will you say something is difficult? Maybe when you don't know something about it. But as a small child, even when you did not know, you are okay, not knowing, but figuring out. But as you and I started growing up, what happened? We got caught up in the world's game. World started saying, you're smart, you're idiot. You're good, you're bad. You're number 1, you're number 10. So the fear of failure got deep-rooted. So you and I nowadays are very, very anxious of trying out new things, of experimenting. A small child has no worry, no hesitation, will do something, even if it falls, if it fails, it's okay, gets up, figures out. The same child was you once upon a time, but now you and I have become very stiff adults. We cannot say, I don't know. What happens if somebody asks me a question and I say, I don't know? Such an insult. So I rather avoid all that. So no new learning. So in a way, you and I succumb to the image called an adult. And you and I suffer in that whole process. Where is all this suffering happening then? Is it in the world? Is it in the so-called world? No. It is simply one situation after another situation after another situation. And how you and I interpret in the mind. This is where, as a simple example, how you and I think has a tremendous impact. For example, right now, a very simple exercise. If I request all of you to close your eyes, simply close your eyes, please. And just imagine, your most favorite sweet is coming near your mouth, whatever it may be. Jalebi, jamun, jehangir, whatever it may be, baklava, whatever. I don't know what is that yours favorite is. For a moment, just look at how your mouth is feeling. Isn't your mouth already watering? ready to take that sweet in. This is all okay. But the important question I want you and I to recognize here is, what is that I prompted? Simply I prompted a thought in your mind. And what happened because of that thought? A particular change happened in your mouth. Your mouth started watering. Maybe if you have not had enough food, your stomach also may be growling. They are all ready now to invite and to have that. How did this happen? It happened simply because of something called as a thought. Where is the thought? In some place called as a mind. Where is mind? Nobody knows. But you and I say that there is a mind. Let's accept that for the time being. In that mind, there is a thought that occurred, and the thought caused this change. Like this, every thought you and I are carrying is bringing about a change. If thought is here, the change, and that whatever you and I call as action, because it watered, no? The mouth watered, no? It's an action, no? Where did it happen? In the body. How is this happening? Very simple biology. Very simple. The body has more than 72,000 nerve paths. And there are blood vessels, more than 1 lakh kilometer of blood vessels. The moment the thought occurred, the information passed from the mind to the mouth, and various hormones got triggered. And the blood is a carrier of various hormones. So all the body parts, they started getting ready. Much like, if let's say in the middle of the night, if you're walking and it is dark, and a dog is rushing towards you, screaming, wow, 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 wow. You may suddenly start palpitating. You may suddenly start, your heart starts beating. What happened? The sense of fear. What is fear? The sight of the dog coming and that sound triggered a thought, and that thought is associated with something is going to happen to me, and that is the fear thought, and that fear thought induced all these neurochemical changes in the body. Immediately it happens. You and I are constantly like that. Various thoughts. Some say an average human being has more than 60,000 thoughts per day. Just for a moment, imagine 60,000 thoughts. It's like a big movie, tamasha, running constantly. Constantly a movie is running. Now, a thought itself has no problem. What happens? A thought itself has no problem. But if the thought is related to me and mine, big problem. See, for example, say neighbor lost his or her mobile, a very, very costly iPhone. Okay, 1 lakh rupee. Just day before yesterday they bought, and today they have lost. You and I listen to it and we say, "Ayo, Papa," or "Oh, you will get it, don't worry." All that, we'll say. But imagine you and I lose some 1,000 rupee in our pocket. You and I become so frantic. So it is not to do with what happened. It is to do with to who it is happening. What is my association to what is happening? How am I thinking about what is happening? What is my connection to that? The me and the mind. The me and the mind in this thinking process can do a whole lot of damage. Just the other day in Wayanad, in Kerala, thousands of people have lost lives. You and I feel sorry, pity, all that is there. But if one of our relative is there, if our own property is there, you and I will be crying, shouting, or maybe very sad. So thinking associated with me and mine brings about various problems called as psychosomatic ailments. Psyche means the mind. Somata means this body. So 95% of the human diseases are caused by our thinking. Or in other words, self-goal. Apne aap pe kuladi marna. Look at some of the examples that are given here. fear, anxiety, forgetfulness, nervousness, confusion. What is it? It's not because some coronavirus came into us, right? Nervousness is not because of coronavirus. Nervousness is not because of confusion is not because of some bacteria. And then what are the next level manifestations of these thinking patterns? What you see in the second layer: headache, insomnia, bedwetting, stammering, friction with others. What are all these? Where is all this beginning from? From my thinking process. The way I see is the way I exhibit my behavior. And that, when it is constantly repeating, for example, once or twice a water is dropping in under a let's say a tap, and if let's say there is a stone under it, nothing happens. But if it is constantly dropping, you would have seen after a while there is a dip in that stone. How did the dip happen in that stone? Because the water is constantly dropping. Like that, how you and I are constantly thinking, the third layer that you see here, all these are manifestations of thinking process. Asthma, ulcer, blood pressure, heart attack, cancer. So they are not caused by some virus. Deep-rooted thinking patterns, various diseases are manifestations of how you and I think. So in a very simple way of looking at it in our today's life, imagine you have a mobile where you're constantly running hundreds of apps. What will happen to your mobile? It'll get discharged. You'll have to keep charging it every now and then, is it not? And what is that you will tell for such a person? You will tell such a person, hey, look, the battery is draining, mobile is running very slow, and you also are not able to use it. You feel frustrated. Then how do you solve this? What will you tell such a person? Hey, for a moment, keep it aside, appa. Turn off all the apps. Keep it aside. And now charge. Now just use what you need. Now how will your mobile function? Very good, no? Very simple, no? Very commonsensical, no? This is fundamentally meditation. The process of keeping aside, our conscious thinking process called mind aside for some time. And when you just keep it aside, you are going to be in your true nature. But how do you keep it aside? That is where the technique comes. That is where various ways of meditation. That's a separate thing. So the simplest thing is, if you simply notice your breath, at that time, various thoughts may be coming, and you gently request your mind to keep it away. The thinking process, your mind may suddenly, as you are noticing your breath, your mind may suddenly say, hey, you know what? It's already 8:15. You have an important mail to send to your office. You tell your mind, it's okay. I will come back. So like that, you have to gently, you and I have to train the mind to keep it aside. Much like how you and I deal with a small baby. If a small baby, a 6-month baby or 9-month baby is screaming, yelling, and you want to take rest, you're not going to beat up the baby to say, I want to take rest and why are you screaming? Then the baby will start screaming even more, is it not? What do? You gently make the baby feel a little peaceful and maybe put it to get involved in some activity. That way, you are able to focus. Otherwise, the baby is going to constantly come and disturb you. Much like that, you and I have to practice meditation in a very loving and a kind way. Because this mind, what you and I call as mind, is something that you cannot just simply throw it away. How will you throw it away? But you can master it because you are above it. Because you are there, the mind could be constructed. If you are not there, how will all the information of the world come? Whatever you and I call as life is nothing but collection of information. We already saw that. How this could have come without you? So which means that you are much higher than the so-called mind. But for the time being, you and I may not have recognized that and gotten established in that. So for that process, meditation is very, very useful. So how you and I turn off the mobile for some time, like that you and I have to learn to consciously keep our thinking mind, that conscious resting of the mind. So during the process of sadhana, meditation then can be seen as conscious resting of the mind. And as it deepens, it helps you to recognize your own true nature. And as you then get established in the true nature, then it becomes very natural. Meditation is natural, which means your very nature is meditative. However, purely from a science viewpoint, the impact of the meditation, see, these are all the various levels of the mind. From a physical viewpoint, when you measure brain. So when you and I are excited, it is at the gamma level, gamma wave level. All of you know frequency. So higher the frequency, more is the jitteriness of the mind. So as you can see, as you learn to practice meditation, you consciously can get into a super conscious state. A super conscious state is what Sri Krishna is essentially talking about here when he's saying nirvāṇa. Nirvāṇa. It is also essentially a pointer to silence. Vāṇi means sound. Nirvāṇa means no sound. So the state of silence, your very nature is silence. Your very nature is supreme peace. That realization can be had with the dhyana. And the conscious process of keeping away me and mine helps you to realize and establish yourself in your very true nature. And that is how that statement, when I am absent, because that I am is simply a cultivated thinking pattern. The small I-ness. I am a man, I'm a woman, all those, whatever. I am like this space in which all these boundaries are appearing and disappearing. I am like this silence in which sound is appearing and disappearing. But when I'm focusing on the forms, I get lost. When I'm focusing on the sound, I get lost. So dhyana is consciously training the cultivated habit of the mind to reverse its habit pattern. There is nothing new you will get out of dhyana, but you will lose something that has never been yours, for which you and I simply unnecessarily cry many a times in life. Hari Om.
Very nice, Jaji.
Thank you, Saravaji.
It was good. So Vijayji, if I want to start meditation, first I can bring all my thoughts to something nice, and then I can move to meditation. Because all of a sudden closing all the apps will be not easy. So I'll put my favorite app for some time.
That's where the simplest way is, Ishaji, is to focus on the breath. One of the simplest way. So just look at the breath, and whatever the mind brings as a thought, you tell the mind, let it be for some time.
Mm. Mm.
So I can share a guided meditation. Yeah, so you can go through that. It essentially follows this set of instruction.
Mm.
It's very simple, very, very simple.
That breathing in, 3 counts or 5 counts which we did, that actually was good. After some time you don't count, but you actually go to that phase.
Correct. Because what happens is, see, the important thing to realize is breath, mind, body, all the 3 are interconnected.
Mm.
It is like, the yogic way of giving an analogy is a bird in flight. Bird in flight has body of the bird and 2 wings. So one of the wing is the breath, another wing is the mind. So when you slow one down, the other 2 naturally slow down.
Mm.
So if you simply look at the breath and what you keep noticing, see, breath has no form. Why breath? Because breath has no form. And when you're looking at that, naturally what you're looking at starts slowing down. And your mind slows down. And then as it becomes sharp enough, you will see who is seeing this entire phenomena. Who is the one who is seeing the breath? And that watcher, that seer is who you truly are.
Mm.
And that is the ultimate purpose of the technique of meditation. Any technique of meditation is to help you to see yourself. In other words, the mirror called mind is constantly clumsy with all kinds of things. So for a moment, we clean it. And in the clean mirror, you see yourself.
Mm. True. I think today's class, I think Santoshji was saying meditation, I think he only said, you can have it with eyes open also, which is true. In one of the videos I was seeing, Vijayji, where, Isha homeschool is there, no, in Coimbatore. They have 3 types of school. One where they only learn all this, yoga and all, the children. So they have been trained from 6 to 16 or something. They have one program, I think, for 21 days, where a child, about a teenage child, is put with other, his classmates and all. They do that 8 hours of pure meditation. They just sit without talking, but with their eyes open. So their mind want to relax even when they are seeing things around them.
And that is your own power also. However, you and I have to train towards that.
Yes.
Even now as you're speaking, you can clearly see what you want to speak is occurring in your mind. And you
Correct.
can see your operators called your body making the sound. And you, the one who is seeing, you have nothing to do.
Yeah.
So meditation is nothing to do actually. There's nothing to do for you.
Yeah, correct.
You're simply enjoying this grand spectacle.
I think one of the other shlokas also, I think 5 classes before, no, like we have to be a spectator and visualize things. So if you're moving out, I think it's clear.
Does anyone have any other points or any other questions? Then shall we end, Sarvanji?
Yeah, sure.
Hari Om.